quick live stream for you guys at the end of the night here just to talk about something that I was working on all day, and I just kind of want to rant about it and then just give you guys a couple looks into what we will be seeing here soon in the next couple of weeks as far as builds and stuff go. So I'm gonna wait a minute and see if anybody joins. We got one person in, two people now. Go ahead and leave a comment or something so I can see who it is, because I honestly haven't figured out how to use the live thing yet. It's been so long. But basically, I was working on the Grand Dam all day, and I got a couple complaints to make about it. He's got his engine, so he's in for the rant. That's awesome. I think oh, where'd it go? Oh, the chat box disappeared on me. But yeah, I'll definitely be complaining about that in a little bit. But right now, my voice is pretty shot. Last video I released, I was getting over being sick, and now I'm basically dealing with the same thing and just getting over being sick. So I'm gonna not be talking super loud. But it was Donovan, that's who it was. But yeah, my voice is pretty shot, so I'm not gonna be talking super loud. And if you hear a few cracks and stuff, that's probably why. But yeah, I was working on the Grand Dam pretty much all day trying to fix the coolant leak I've been struggling with on it for a while. There's 802 Garage Squad, Rust Belt Squad. He knows about the rust. Yeah, I've been working on it pretty much all day trying to get the stupid coolant leak fixed that I've been dealing with on it for pretty much since the accident happened to it over a year ago. And I ended up causing more problems and still having the original problem, which was the coolant leak, to deal with. And basically just gotta I wanted to see if anybody who watches this has struggled with these 3.4 liter junk engines before. And because I've got the original coolant leak issue, which I'm pretty confident is the timing cover gasket leaking, which honestly would have been easier than replacing the intake manifold gaskets, which is what I just got done doing today. And then it's leaking fuel now from the O-ring, probably feeding the rail. And then it also has a horrible lifter or rocker arm tick, like valve lash is not set right or something like that, because I did have to take all of them off to get the intake manifold gaskets on. I know it sounds stupid, but if you've ever worked on this 3.4, you already know what I'm talking about. It sucks. It's stupid. I don't understand why you should have to take rocker arms and push rods out to get intake manifold gaskets out, but that's just how this engine's designed. And I would actually start it for you right now, but the fuel is leaking like a sieve, so I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like blowing myself up. I almost did that once this week already, which maybe I'll tell you guys that story too. But it's real bad. It's definitely top end, and I'm assuming I didn't put a rocker arm back in right or something, which I'm hoping it's the front one. We'll go ahead and, I don't know if I can, there we go, flip the camera around. I'm hoping that the noise is coming from this rocker cover and not the back one. You could probably assume why I'm hoping it is coming from the front one, because this one is a lot easier to get to than the back one. Yeah, pretty much. This engine was not designed to be worked on at all, and I went ahead and just kind of looked up like how dealerships usually work on this engine if it needs that kind of work done. And pretty much all the work orders just say to drop the entire engine out of the car and do everything outside of the car, because the engine bay is so cramped, and it's just a lot easier and honestly faster if you have access to a lift and some sort of device to hold the engine still and lift the car off of it, just to work on it that way. But yeah, pretty much went through it all, and I'm pretty sure it's still leaking coolant because I could see some dripping out, but it may have been residual from, you know, the countless other times this thing has leaked and been dripping fluid everywhere. And of course the fuel leak and the rocker arm noise. Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I don't understand why any manufacturer would design a car like this that's not meant to really be worked on by the average person. And I don't understand why intake manifold gaskets are supposed to be so damn hard to work on. I don't get it. That's why I don't like this car very much. And honestly, the whole point of having this car and keeping it for so long was just to rack more miles up on and keep miles off the other cars and have a good running driving vehicle. But at this point, I've spent so much time just trying to get it back on the road again and stop leaking coolant everywhere. We would have probably been further ahead now if we had just thrown the thing away. But I've got too much time spent in it now to give up on it. So can't let the Grand Dam defeat me. But this it's a pain in the ass, I'll tell you what. So sometime probably next weekend because I just don't feel like working on this thing anymore. I'm gonna go and get the rocker arm situation, whatever it is, fixed, and see if I damage anything. Because I know I didn't like torque anything to spec when I put the rocker arms back in, so maybe I tightened them too far and like crushed a bearing in one. Thankfully, there's plenty of these at the junkyards. I wonder why. So I will, if I have to, I'll just replace a rocker arm and a push rod with some junkyard stuff because it's kind of the whole theme of this car and it's like what I like doing anyway. And then we'll fix the fuel leak, which is just an O-ring I got to replace, I'm pretty sure. And then probably have to fix the timing cover gasket leak because I'm pretty sure that's where it's still leaking coolant from. And then hopefully this piece of junk will be back on the road and I won't have to deal with it for a while because at that point, once the timing cover gasket is replaced, which I actually have, I bought them because I was kind of afraid I would have to do it. I got a box here with the whole gasket set for the timing cover, some engine tech stuff here. And then there's a box with that was the box that came with the gaskets for the intake manifold stuff. Looking at it now, if I had known that the intake manifold gasket was that hard to replace, I would have just done the timing cover instead. But I was pretty sure both of them were going to be bad because two of the bolts on the intake manifold were completely loose. Like I was able to just pull them out by hand. So if they weren't leaking yet, they were going to be soon. And it's just, I guess it's just one less thing I'll have to worry about as long as I haven't done any damage to anything, putting it all back together. That's another issue with, working on an old engine with this many miles and this amount of age to it is they just don't like being taken apart and tampered with, and that was what I was afraid of going into it. That's why I don't like working on this thing either, is because everything's old, everything's fragile, and everything is just kind of bedded itself into whatever position it's in. And if you start disturbing stuff on an engine like this that's this old and this used, it's not going to appreciate it very much, and it's going to let you know pretty quickly, as this one definitely has. And I don't know why the thing has decided to leak all the time now. It's possible that the accident disturbed stuff, or it's also possible, since this thing's over 200,000 miles now, that it's just a 3.4 V6 thing. 216,000 or something like that. It's pretty well spent at this point, but honestly, when it's running and not leaking, this thing runs pretty good. There's a little bit of lifter noise in the top end that is evident when the engine's real cold, but it doesn't leak oil. It doesn't leak like transmission fluid or anything like that. The transmission does have a slip, but that's a Grand Am thing also. But it runs pretty good, drives really, really good actually. Wheels there's no vibration, the alignment's nice and straight on it and everything. There's nothing weird about it, so it cruises really nice, like it's brand new almost. It just likes to leak coolant everywhere. So if I can get that issue solved and not have to deal with it for a while, maybe we could get another 10,000 miles out of it and keep it on the road for a while, keep miles off other stuff. And of course, driving an old beater like that means something happens to it, it's not a big deal. Whereas driving the newer cars or the nicer cars, it's kind of a big deal if something happens to them, especially if they get wrecked. I mean, this one's already been wrecked once, so it doesn't really matter if it gets wrecked again. But yeah, I'm kind of fed up on working with this thing here. But yeah, I'm pretty much fed up with working on this thing for now. I'm going to get back to it next weekend, and maybe I'll do another live stream while I'm working on it. If I can fix the fuel leak, I'll probably do a live stream and let you guys hear the rocker noise, especially if I cannot fix it. Oh, I still haven't figured out how to get the chat box to stay up when I'm doing this. Maybe this is it. Hey, I figured out how to do it. All right, cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty much fed up with working on this thing for now. I'm gonna get back to it next weekend and see if I damaged anything, like on the rocker arms, putting it back together. And then it's just an O-ring that I need for the fuel rail, because when I pulled it apart, the O-ring just kind of blew off of it and disappeared down inside of the car. And I was able to find it and put it back in, but it's not thrilled probably. And I'm assuming that's where the leak was coming from, because I did replace the injector O-rings. For some reason, the Victor Rines kit for the intake manifold gaskets, which was a master set, didn't come with a replacement O-ring for the fuel rail. I don't get that. They gave me a replacement O-rings for everything else but the fuel rail. So, I mean, oh well. But hopefully soon I'll be done working on this thing, because right now I'm trying to get some of the other projects, like random projects, just knocked out, since I'm waiting on parts for the turbo truck at the moment. So I'm trying to get this junker done. The other car that I bought that I haven't shown on videos, those of you who follow my Instagram have seen one picture of the car, and since this is a live stream, I don't think too many people are going to watch this far into it after it's been re-uploaded, after it's not live. I'll just go ahead and let you guys know what it is, and it's a 2007 or 2008 Saturn Aura XR, so it's the Saturn Aura with the Cadillac V6 in it, so it's a 3.6 liter V6, dual overhead cam, variable valve timing, all that stuff. It needs timing chains replaced and tensioners and stuff, and then everything else on the car is rock solid. There's no rust on it. It's got almost a perfect condition body. There's just nothing wrong with it aside from the timing chains. It does have a lot of miles on it, but being that new of a car with that many miles, it's probably got a lot of long trips on it, and I haven't done a compression test on it yet because I'm afraid to, because I'm afraid that turning the engine over at low RPM will make the timing chains decide to finally pop off of it, so I've just been letting it sit, and I've been keeping that car kind of hidden for a while, but that car will be on here soon. I didn't want to make a video working on the Grand Am because that thing's just miserable to work on, and I didn't want to make a video working on something that I don't like working on, but the Saturn, I'll definitely be making a video about working on that thing. The Caddy engine in the Saturn makes a little bit over 250 crank, if I remember right. It's a pretty quick car. Even right now with the, it's in limp mode because the timing chains are loose enough that the sensors for the cam gears have picked up on it, and it's in limp mode. So I'm assuming the VTI isn't working. But even with that, the thing scooted pretty good. I got on it one time right after I got it, and haven't, felt like doing it since because I was afraid to blow the thing up and then have to replace valves in it and stuff. But it's a pretty quick car, especially for being just a Saturn. I mean, I think it was rated for like a 0 to 60 in like something around 6.5 seconds, which for a, a 10-year-old Saturn, that's pretty respectable. And it has like a bunch of, like, a really fully loaded interior. It's leather, sunroof, heated seats, really nice climate control system on it and everything. It's a really nice, clean car. And I'm hoping once I get it done and everything else checks out on it, it can be my brother's first car, so he'll have a nice car to drive around in, and something that even if like the engine or transmission lets go on it, the car is so clean it would actually be worth putting a new engine or transmission in it. But that's a little bit of my rant on the Grand Am here. I'm just kind of fed up on working on, where is it at? Kind of fed up with working on this thing for a little while. I wanted to do ball joints on the daily, but that took so long that I didn't get to them, so this thing will have to wait. The upper ball joint on the passenger side is pretty bad. Let's see if we can get a shot of the camber squad. Actually, you can't really tell on camera, but it's pretty bad. There's a couple degrees going on there on that side. But yeah, I wanted to do ball joints on this thing, but didn't get to it because that thing took so long. And then the truck, let's talk about the other truck, not this one. I guess, actually, I'm going to show you guys something I did to this thing. So it's been so cold here lately that I made a block-off plate to cover the radiator. Like, I welded some strapping to it here. Actually, see if, I don't know if I can turn my flashlight on or not. Probably not. But, made this plate to block off the lower part of the radiator so it'll heat up a little bit quicker when it's, in the negatives outside. And then I went ahead and did an AC delete on it also, and you could probably tell it's got a bull bar on it and has no front bumper just because I decided to piece those out and not put them back on. But I went to flush the coolant out because I think the heater core on this thing is plugged, and it turned into a little bit of an adventure. You can see I use this thing as a stepping stool as I get to my shelves. It's got footprints all over it. But did an AC delete. I actually had a belt from the original green Dakota that's been sitting in storage for like 3 years that I went and just put on here. Got rid of the air conditioning stuff because it didn't work, and this truck's not worth replacing air conditioning parts on because they're expensive. And then I went ahead and flushed the coolant, and the heat still sucks in this thing. Like, there's just a clog somewhere going to the heater core, because if I put the fan past setting 2, it just blows cold air after a little while. Made that plate a little while after, replaced the thermostat because I was trying to figure out if the thing just wasn't getting warm. And then I found out, if you guys will remember in the reveal video, there was a piece of wood stuffed into this fan shroud, and I found out that somebody busted the whole lower part of the radiator down here and pushed the whole thing back and busted the little peg that it sits on out of it. And when it was pushed back, it was making the fan shroud hit the fan, and it also busted these little fingers that used to be on this drain plug. So these two little wood screws here are actually into my drain plug, so I can turn it in and out, because otherwise there's no way to get to this thing. So I put a wood screw through the bottom of that peg because it was hollow, and was able to put that thing back into place. Put these wood screws into the drain plug and got that to work. Got the radiator sitting straight, and got the fan shroud sitting where it's supposed to. It went way out of focus. Good job, iPhone. Jeez. But got everything pretty well put together on this thing now, and once I get some ball joints on it, we'll be pretty well set, I think. And I finally did my first oil change on it because I just hadn't had to do it because it had been done right before I bought it. But anyway, let me know what you think of the no bumper look. I kind of like it because it looks like a pre-runner, even though it's this little two-wheel drive piece of junk thing. But I kind of like the no bumper look, honestly, because it just kind of matches how beat and rough the whole truck is anyway. And then I still have the stupid 31s on the back of it. Not happy about them because they make this thing even slower than it already is, and probably kill gas mileage also. This thing did something really weird the other day where the speedometers decided not to work, but I was driving to work and the speedometer wasn't doing anything, and then on the way back home from work it was working again. So I don't know what its issue is, but I'm just not going to worry about it because I guess I don't really need it anyway since it's a manual and I know what RPM certain speeds are at. And then, I mean, really, I haven't had any other issues with it. I haven't had to really fix anything super important. Everything I've done has just been stuff that I've wanted to improve, I guess. Nothing's failed on it, you know, knock on wood, knock on anything, knock on rusty fenders and stuff. I don't know. But definitely a pretty good purchase at $700, and it donated its cap to the other truck. So it also needs an idle control valve, which I do have as well, but just didn't get to because of, you know, the red bomb sitting over there. The turbo truck. Now we'll go ahead and talk about that. Let's see, I haven't even been watching comments. Let's go ahead and see. I see Big Rhonda is here. And then there was somebody else in here. Junk from work. So what is up, guys? See, Aaron's still here as well. Yeah, nature's fault for the salt and rust and stuff. This thing's got its fair share of it for sure. Let's see, there's what I was knocking on after I mentioned it not breaking, and then this one. I can fit my whole hand in that one if I want. And the whole side of the bed moves because it's, you know, classic Dodge stuff. Thankfully, this thing has a bed liner in it, so there's not a hole in it, because I know there's a hole back on this back side of the wheel arch somewhere, and if you don't have a bed liner or something covering your wheel arches, they will actually chuck rocks at your back window. And I had to replace the back window on the turbo truck shortly after I got it because there's a hole in that fender, and it actually threw a big enough rock up that it cracked the back glass on it. So originally that truck didn't have a slider window, and I was able to get a junkyard one that had a slider window, so that worked out kind of well, but I still wasn't happy about it. So there's actually duct tape covering the hole now because it was too rusty to really go in and weld anything into it. But let's talk about the turbo truck for a minute. I'll let you guys know what I'm working on at the moment for that. So I was having some weird fueling issues, and I couldn't really solve it until I decided to try putting the original fuel injectors in it, not the original ones, but the Bosch 4-hole ones that I bought last year, which were just an OEM plus upgrade basically. Put them in and then turn my fuel pressure up about 20 psi just to increase their flow rate a little bit, because they're 190cc injectors at 43 psi, so I bumped it up to 65 psi base fuel pressure, which is about 230 something cc's, which is just enough for the amount of boost the truck is making. Because the issue I realized I was having with the fuel was that the fuel from the eBay injectors was just being sprayed all over the intake walls and the valves and stuff, and not actually atomizing and getting pulled into the cylinders. So I would have random lean and rich spots and misfires and stuff. You guys can kind of hear it in the intro video, actually, that has been on my later videos. You can hear the thing, especially after I change the gears and get back into it again. You can hear it misfire and pop. But I decided to put the old injectors back into it and just see if the issue would pretty much go away. And it pretty much has. Like, there's no more weird fueling issues. It still needs tuned and stuff, but the truck feels 100% faster than it did before. It idles cleaner and better. It's just so much better than it was before in regards to its fueling issues. So I do have a set of Bosch 60-pound 12-hole injectors on the way. They're actually injectors for a Hemi, so they're a little bit shorter than the injectors that come on the Magnum engines, but I'm going to modify the fuel rails brackets on them so that I can lower the fuel rail to make them fit, because it was basically the cheapest 60-pound option I could get. And yeah, I mean, it was like $280 for a set of 60-pound, genuine Bosch injectors, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So I went ahead and picked them up. Still waiting for them to get shipped. I bought them over a week ago and they haven't been shipped yet, so I'm not super thrilled with that, but we'll just figure that out. And also, I do have the junkyard engine coming soon. We did get the new engine in my friend's truck, so I will be getting that. He's waiting on a clutch slave cylinder at the moment, and the engine's in the back of his truck, which he can't drive without a slave cylinder in it. But I will have the junkyard, or his old junk engine, which supposedly has blown head gaskets. I'm going to investigate it a little bit and see what the rest of the engine is like. But that will be donating some extra fuel rails for me to cut up and use the brackets off of them to extend the brackets on my fuel rails. It'll have an intake manifold I can pour it out to match the V8 intake, and just a whole bunch of random extra parts I can use in the future for other stuff, and maybe even do a little like budget boost engine build where I re-ring it and put new bearings and stuff in the bottom of a stock 3.9 if I feel like going down that route. But yeah, my voice, as you guys can probably tell, my voice is already not too kind of giving out on me a little bit. I'm going to end the live stream pretty soon here, I think, but if you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I know I haven't been very good at paying attention to what is going on in here. But yeah, if you have any extra questions for me or anything, go ahead and leave them now, because I think I've pretty much ran out of stuff to talk about at the moment. I want to thank you guys very much for joining in, and I see got 5 people in at the moment, 4 likes, so thank you guys very much for that. And we're at about 22 minutes right now as well. How is the connection, by the way? I haven't done a live stream in a while, but we've got a different router again than the last time I did one, I think. So let me know how the connection was, if it dropped off at all or anything like that. I see Donovan says 5 out of 5, and 802 says stream was really good, so that is awesome. I was kind of curious what the quality would be, because I think the last time I did a stream I also had the doors open as well, which would have probably helped it. But it's cold outside, so I don't feel like doing that. Let's see, what do we got going on here? All right, see, Junk from Work says video was good also, so thank you guys very much for joining in. And yeah, GM products definitely suck, at least in my opinion at the moment, because I'm not too thrilled with them. But I will get over it, and we'll figure out what's wrong with it. I'll probably just do another live stream or something, because the Grand Am is not worth making a whole video on, because, it's just an old beater, and I don't like working on it, and I just don't feel like making a video on something I'm not thrilled about working on. But I think before we go, I'm going to walk outside in the cold real quick and give you guys a sneak peek of something that's coming in probably the very next video on the turbo truck. It's really dark outside, and I don't think I can turn my flashlight on. Let me see if... No, I cannot. So I cannot turn the flashlight on, unfortunately. Oops, I don't know how to close that back. There we go. But we'll go ahead and run outside, and I'll just give you guys a little sneak peek for sticking around through the whole stream of something I did. I think a few of you will be very interested in. It's actually not that cold out here, honestly. Oh, wow, it's way too dark to see anything out here. Let me go grab a light, and then I'll be able to show you. I was standing right in front of it, and you couldn't even see where the truck was at, period. That's no good. I'm surprised it's still warm in here, because I haven't been in here for a couple hours, and it's still probably 50 degrees. I got that thing running again, though. Oh, let's see here. I have a light somewhere. Right there. That'll work. Oh god, I'm dropping stuff. Alright. Can you guys see, is there like a light and bar at the top of the screen? Or is that just me? There's probably some dirt on the lens, or it's my phone case making the camera upset. Alright. Just me. Well, that means my iPhone's probably not too happy anymore, but let's see. Oh, it's still hard to see it, but it's got a lower front lip from the black truck on it now. You can kind of see it. You guys will probably have to wait to see it very well in the video for it, but it's got the smiley face front lip from the Daily Dakota on it. I remember seeing it done in a picture a long time ago, and I always wanted to try it, and I just happened to have a bumper laying around from this truck, and the front lip with some trimming definitely fit. I think I saw somebody wanted to see the turbo truck started up. I could probably do that. You could probably go on eBay and buy one of the front lips. I mean, that one came off of this truck. It's the plastic portion of it. I had to cut it up quite a bit, but it's actually almost the perfect, curvature to fit the older Dakota bumpers, which I was really surprised by. And you'll see in the video I released for you, but if you have one that's not damaged, like this one was damaged pretty badly, you could probably not have to cut it as much as I did. That thing sounds very unhappy, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm guessing eBay, you might be able to order either a brand new, like a Duraflex one maybe, or you could probably, I don't know, order an OEM one. But I know that online they're kind of expensive, and given the possibility that it may have to be cut up in order to fit, I wouldn't really want to buy or spend too much money on it. In my case, it was pretty much free because I had it off of this truck. But if you can't get one at a junkyard, I don't know that it would be worth it too well. But I wonder if my data would work good enough to go and drive the turbo truck, honestly, because I may just do that as the end of the video. I'll give it a shot and see how it works if I'm on my data. Oh boy, it is definitely not warm out here. Hey, I'm looking straight at the truck and you can't even see it. So, here we go. Now, there's not really, I mean, it's Ohio, so there's not really a single hill to be seen anywhere. Let's see if I can find the key in here. This thing has no dome light. I'll turn the heater off. I'm going to prime it a couple times. I don't have the warm-up enrichment dialed in, so it's probably out after it idles down a little bit, unless it's still heat-soaked a little bit from there. It tried to die. After it idles long enough, it'll stay running. Let's see if we can get... Yeah, see, it's a little bit lean for a second. It's just because it doesn't have the cold start tuned in quite right. It'll flatten out after a little while. I'm going to see if I can disconnect from the Wi-Fi with the phone turned on and see what happens to the stream quality. Let me know if you guys can hear me very well, because I know this thing's not quiet. I'm going to go ahead and disable the Wi-Fi right now, and we'll see what happens to the stream quality. Wi-Fi is disconnected. Wi-Fi is disconnected now, so let me know what the quality is like. If the quality is okay, we'll go ahead and take this thing for a quick little run. Yeah, this thing's an absolute blast to drive, and now with the different injectors in it, it runs a lot smoother. It still has little random lean and rich spots in it. Yeah, everybody's saying the connection is still pretty solid, so I guess we'll go for a little drive and see how much turbo noise we can pick up. I'm going to drive it around. lower quality overall, but it works. So as long as you guys can still hear me, I suppose that's probably the most important thing. There we go, lights are on. Turn my defrost on. These windows are already steaming up, and I parked in the grass, so we're kind of stuck. No power steering and one-handed is not a pleasant thing. Oh God. Oh. I don't think I'm gonna do a burnout because it does have new tires on the back. If I had somebody to film from the outside, it would probably be worth it though. Oh man, the steering wheel's hard. All right. Whew. All right, we are lined up to Saturday night, and I'm surprised it's so quiet out right now. What's the coolant temp looking like at the moment? It's still pretty cold. Didn't know how warm it would be because I was just driving. I try to drive this thing on the weekends just to keep everything not quite as upset as it would be if it were to sit for an extended period of time. Oh man, this is really hard to do one-handed. You can see the little lean spot right there. Yeah, I didn't want to rev it in the driveway because there's people sleeping in the house and this thing's already loud enough just firing it up. We are on the road. I got my fog lights. Boom. LEDs. I'm going to try and pay more attention to the road here. We'll go ahead and make my little circle, my classic circle, and then on the way back towards the house, we will give it a little bit of boost and let you guys hear it. My butt dyno at the moment tells me that it's making right around probably 200 wheel peak, but it falls off pretty bad up towards the top end because it gets way too rich. But I can't complain too much because it's a lot better than it used to be, that's for sure. I think my phone connected to my Bluetooth and now it's trying to play my voice, I think, through the speakers, which is kind of an odd thing. Yeah, my headlights are pretty bad. Even the high beams are pretty worthless. Like, they're so bad that if somebody else has their high beams on coming towards me and I flip them at them, people just don't even notice it really. They probably just assume it's me hitting a bump or something. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Now the camera, I mean, I can see a lot better than the camera can see, but it's still not the greatest thing. The camera's definitely pretty dark at the moment. Now let me know if the connection starts lagging out real bad, and if that does happen, I may just pull over and stop for a second and let the phone gather itself. There's a train going right there, the brightest light traveling right there. It's a train going through. Things that always make noise when I'm trying to make videos. Now we'll pull down this road gently. Connection's good overall. Awesome. I was hoping that guy wouldn't get through the tracks, but I think he did. Somebody behind me. With really bright lights also. You hear a little bit of wastegate noise right there. Oh, my iPhone is on low battery. Close. 20%. I haven't even been paying attention to it all day, but I guess it's a good thing the stream is almost over. Yeah. Driving and recording is definitely not the wisest thing, especially when I need a hand to shift. So I don't think I'll do this too often, but I think it's worth it for this stream, especially as a treat for you guys here at the end. There's nobody coming that way. Complete stop. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I think this road will give it sauce a little bit. That was pretty close to wide open throttle on it, and I mean it moves good. There's no misfires or breakup. It does fall on its face past about 4,000 RPM, and it's either getting too rich or it could be the turbo running out of steam. But either way, it's definitely faster than a stock non-turbo one, that's for sure. And I think once it's tuned, we'll have a better idea as to how much the turbo is actually doing up, especially towards the top end. This engine does have a relatively low red line, which is at like 5250. I think I got it set to 5500 at the moment just because I was trying to get some fireball tune going on for the rev limiter and it wouldn't work. But given the low RPM, I don't think the turbo is going to run out of breath at the very top, at least not at 5 pounds of boost. But it is an old turbo. It's an eBay turbo. It was well used before I got it. It's had a pretty good amount of shaft play even before I got it, so the fact that it's still working is amazing enough. It actually axle hopped a little bit right there. That's the most terrifying thing in the world. I keep getting sketched out every time there's lights behind me because I keep thinking it's going to be a cop, honestly, because this thing's really loud and it's now pretty late in the night. But I'm going to get back to the house, and then I think we'll close the live stream out. And that'll be about it. Hopefully you enjoyed the little choo-choo noises and stuff. Yeah, nothing with a little shaft play. Honestly, I'm surprised this turbo has lasted this long. I'm guessing once I start driving this thing more often and it's tuned better and I'm, using the turbo more to its full potential, it's not going to last a whole lot longer. But the fact that it's like, even if you watch the videos where I installed this turbo, I said I didn't think it would last more than a month, and it's been on here for almost a year now. So it may last until I actually get around to upgrading to a different size turbo, which is something I'll talk about in a video in the next month or two, because I don't want to spill all the beans yet. God, I love this thing. It feels so good to be back in a turbo truck. And now we pull into the driveway like nothing happened. Nothing to see here, officer. It wasn't me, it was the Subaru. It's just an old stock shop truck. Nothing happened. Alright. Let's see if we can pull up a little bit further here before we get back in. Alright. Idling. You guys really can't see. It's really dark on camera. That's pretty bad. But let's go ahead and get back into the garage, and I will close the stream out for you. And then I think I am going to drink a little and then go to bed, because I have work tomorrow night. All right, flip the... All right, we are back in the garage where it's lit and not freezing cold out. Yeah, it's definitely not the Dodge Dakota with the side exit exhaust making all the noise. Definitely not. Even though it's definitely not as noticeable as, like, when the truck's not on, you hardly notice the pipe is there. Now when it's running, it's pretty noticeable because the thing's very loud. But I think I'm going to end the live stream here, guys. Go ahead and leave a like if you haven't already. And then I'm hoping to have a video out by the end of this week of installing that front lip on the truck so you guys can get a better look at it. If you do want to see a sneak peek of it, I think I posted a picture of it on my Instagram, and that's at meangreendak1. It's all one word. Just go ahead and look me up on there. You can find it and look at pictures of that. And then if you want to see the picture of the Saturn that I have bought and haven't shown on the channel yet, you can go ahead and look at that also. But that's going to be it for this live stream. This was actually pretty fun. I'm going to try and do another one of these next weekend after I work on the Grand Am some more and maybe have some more gripes to give you guys. and I will see you guys later.